Everyone, this is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 111 with Mikel
and Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, we're doing a three-topic episode this time around, and Tanika will present us with the three topics.
Okay, so we're going to be doing a topic on understanding, because we kind of talked about metformin on this podcast before. So we're going to be talking about understanding how metformin lowers your blood sugar. Because again, if you use it for diabetes, PCOS, then you might be interested in knowing what it's doing.
Right.
We're going to do a somewhat quote unquote fun topic with 10 behaviors of emotionally immature men. So that might be fun for some people.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about Canada's new driving laws coming in as effective as of next week.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get to that later.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it.
Just going to pull up my topics. Hold on. Okay. So, first topic. Since the 1990s, doctors have been prescribing the drug metformin to treat type 2 diabetes. And I don't know when they started doing that with PCOS as well, but scientists didn't fully understand how it worked. Nice to know they're just going to prescribe this to people and not know necessarily how it worked. But new research fills in one piece of that puzzle. Metformin triggers the body to expel glucose from the bloodstream into the intestines, which explains so much with the symptoms because TMI, for those who don't use metformin, it really upsets your stomach. Let's just put it that way. Um, so where bacteria feed on the carbohydrate to make compounds that may help control blood sugar levels. So in the new study, which was published in March of this year, in the journal Communications Medicine, researchers calculated that metformin treatment increased how much glucose was released into the gut nearly fourfold. That seemed to boost the production of fatty compounds that help protect the gut and reduce inflammation, which is one reason why it's also prescribed for PCOS. Anyone who has PCOS, 9 times out of 10, you have inflammation, just generally. Most research has focused on metformin's effects in the liver, where it boosts how cells respond to insulin and blocks the synthesis of the sugar glucose. But some studies have suggested that the drug also acts on the gut, perhaps by blocking glucose uptake into the bloodstream. So, quote, many people are working on the gut action of metformin. Thank God. Because if you take metformin orally, the intestines are exposed to very high concentrations. Uh-huh. And senior study author Dr. Wartu Agawa, I think, who is a medical researcher at Kobe University in Japan. Um, I mean, what they're saying in terms of how it really affects the intestines, it's the main reason I can't take metformin. I wish I could because it's beneficial for what I deal with,
Right.
but my stomach just can't handle it. So that's a lot of people claim that who have taken metformin. Um, it's a horrible drug for that. So previously, Agawa's team showed that the body excretes glucose into the hollow tunnel of the human gut where food and waste travel, known as the lumen. This happens in people with and without diabetes. Quote, it means that this is a physiological function that humans have. In the new study, the researchers found that metformin nearly quadrupled the rate of glucose excretion into the gut in 5 people with type 2 diabetes and they replicated those findings in mice. Keeping glucose out of circulation by directing it to the gut might directly lower blood sugar levels, but scientists told Live Science they think this explains only part of metformin's therapeutic effects.
Mm.
Nicola Morris, a metformin researcher at the University of Dundee in Scotland, who was not involved in the study, told Live Science in an email, quote, "I do not expect this to be the drug's main mechanism of action." Besides drawing sugar out of the bloodstream, excreted glucose could also have an indirect effect on blood sugar by feeding gut bacteria, other experts told Live Science. Dr. Jose Manuel Fernandez Real, that's a name, a medical researcher at the University of Girona in Spain, who was not involved in this study, told Life Science in an email, quote, "Some bacteria, particularly those that thrive on simple sugars, may experience increased growth, while others that rely on complex carbohydrates or fiber fermentation might be less affected." Which is why I'm inserting a lot in here just because as a
Mhm.
person who's taken this, as a person who has PCOS, so I can't speak on diabetes so much, but as a person with PCOS, that is why you're told fiber is so important. So it could maybe help with
Right.
the effects of the metformin if you're getting a lot of fiber in your diet, which is not an easy thing to do. It really isn't. You think it could be. It's not. Um, Chia seeds are your best friend.
Mhm.
So a glucose molecule has a backbone of 6 carbon atoms. So to determine the rate at which gut bacteria break down glucose into other molecules, Agawa had to find a way to keep track of these carbons.
Mhm.
His team injected mice with glucose containing a quote unquote heavy isotope, meaning a version of carbon that carries an extra neutron. This allowed them to trace the heavy carbons as the bacteria transformed glucose into other compounds. Stool samples revealed that bacteria in mice treated with metformin had converted the heavy glucose into short chain fatty acids, um, SCFAs, which we'll call them going forward. Bacterial species that produce short chain fatty acids are generally good bacteria, suggesting metformin's effects could potentially foster a healthy microbiome.
Mhm.
Metformin treatment caused CFAs containing heavy carbon to increase just by 1% in stool samples. However, Manuel Vasquez, I think it's Carrera, a pharmacology researcher at the University of Barcelona, who was not involved in the study, told Life Science in an email that, quote, "Most SCFAs are rapidly absorbed and utilized rather than excreted."
Mhm.
Um, that means the measurement was likely an underestimate. And even a slight rise of SCFA production could enhance gut barrier function, reduce inflammation, and
Mhm.
improve insulin sensitivity, all of which are beneficial for managing diabetes and PCOS.
Right.
The study had a few limitations. First, the researchers did not assess how higher levels of gut SCFAs affected the health of mice. It also included, quote, "a very small number of participants who were receiving varying doses of metformin as part of their treatment regimes." The mouse work also involved only male rodents. So possible sex differences in the drug's actions are not explored, which obviously, with that being said, we don't really know then if this will be beneficial for PCOS, like
Hmm.
the study anyways,
Interesting.
because again, PCOS obviously only happens in women. So
Mhm.
it's hard to kind of know then, is that how our bodies are going to respond with diabetes, but is that even going to how it's going to respond with people with PCOS, which again mimics diabetes. So
Right.
I don't know. Um um Where am I here? So, beyond testing metformin's effects on 5 diabetes patients, Agawa said he has finished a larger gold standard trial in humans to further study the drug's impacts on the gut. The researchers haven't completed the analysis, but as yet, they haven't seen any sex differences. Moore
Mm,
suggested that future work could explore how metformin affects glucose excretion in mice that consume different diets, such as high fat, high sugar diets, which are linked to obesity. So,
mm, mm.
yeah, that's
Interesting.
basically that. So, hopefully, they'll do more research. Again, I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like metformin, since this has been something that's been prescribed for nearly 30 years
Mhm.
for diabetes alone, because obviously PCOS, I'm sure, was just a non-existent thing in 96.
Right.
Um, so I think that, like, hopefully they'll do more research. Hopefully they can also target what that research will look like for women with PCOS. But again, like I mentioned before, PCOS and certain symptoms mimics diabetes. So um kind of whatever they're doing for diabetes could definitely work with people with PCOS as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's great that you did, some research on that, and, hopefully we
Yeah.
can give an update on that in the near future.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Hopefully. Yeah,
yeah.
no, something like this is important to me
Mhm.
because again, like there's unfortunately a lot of women in the world that
I
have been
struggle with yeah.
diagnosed with PCOS,
Yeah.
especially. I've been taking metformin off and on for 10 years. So it's like
Mhm,
it's important to me. My mom is technically supposed to be taking it as well, but for diabetes. So it's
mhm.
metformin is very unfortunately a pretty big
Yeah.
drug in my household. So
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
yeah, it's kind of interesting to kind of know like what it's doing to your body and kind
Yeah,
of answer some questions for people
yeah.
who I'm
That's
sure
good.
deal
Can
with the same
relate.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good.
All right. So let's go to the quote unquote fun topic.
Mhm,
So many of us might believe that maturity just happens naturally. It doesn't as we get older, but that isn't always the case. In
mhm,
fact, there are those who grow out of their teen years into adulthood and never quite reach the same maturity level as others their age have. Both genders can be prone to a lack of emotional maturity, but if you're in a relationship with a man, it can make your interactions more difficult on a daily basis. Dr. Terrell DeGanis, licensed clinical psychologist and regional clinical coordinator at Thriving Center of Psychology, defines emotional maturity as a person's ability to recognize, identify, and express emotions with the added benefit of knowing when to react versus respond to others' emotions.
mhm,
Christine DeVore also offers her definition of emotional maturity, saying that it's about understanding and accepting our emotions without letting them control us, while also being able to understand and emphasize with the feeling of others. Quote, it's
mm,
understanding that life is full of uncertainties and discomforts, but being able to face them with resilience. Again, behaviors that point to emotional immaturity aren't exclusive to men, definitely not, and this lack of maturity can be caused by trauma, poor relationships, parental examples, neglect, or feelings of betrayal, as Dr. DeGanis says. Dr. DeVore elaborates, saying, quote, if caregivers didn't model healthy emotional expression and conflict resolution, someone may not have learned how to process or regulate their own emotions. Childhood neglect can also leave someone feeling emotionally unsupported and insecure. Additionally, she says that unprocessed pain like heartbreak can create emotional barriers and result in not maturing emotionally. Quote, for men, gender stereotypes also play a big factor in remaining emotionally immature. The expectation of men to be strong, quote unquote, and not
mm,
show emotions can discourage emotional expression and growth. Emotional maturity is quite paramount in a relationship. As Dr. DeGanis puts it, emotional maturity is the mechanism that allows for depth. With
mm,
enough emotional maturity, you will develop trust and vulnerability and gain an understanding and deeper appreciation for your partner. Dr. DeForest also says that emotional maturity is important to be able to express thoughts and feelings in a healthy way and to manage conflicts without reacting impulsively or shutting down.
Mm,
Emotional maturity helps us truly listen and validate each other while also being able to set and respect boundaries. So, men who haven't matured emotionally usually display these 10 behaviors without realizing it. So, it's not like they're trying to be, but you know.
mhm,
So, number one, preoccupied with being cheated on. So, Dr. Tanyka says that someone who is frequently concerned with being cheated on may be emotionally immature. Quote, overgeneralizing others and considering any action as an opportunity for their partner to cheat is a sign they have not emotionally recovered from past issues with others. And I think that's pretty obvious.
yeah, that
Usually,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead, go
No, no,
ahead.
no. Go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
Yeah, I dealt with, like, uh well, I'm not saying that myself, like, I have never, questioned somebody. If you're I
Mm,
like to just ask questions, get to know that person, and, like, I did have, like, one person, which is a woman,
mm,
that actually was a confirmed that she is a cheater. And
mm.
she basically questioned me. Like, if I was with, a friend, like, she was basically like, "Who's that? What kind of friend? You're not supposed to
And
have
see,
fr."
that's the thing. That
Yeah,
kinda shows, like, it's mature on your side that, everyone
yeah,
unfortunately, everyone's been cheated on, right?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
I'm assuming you've been cheated on, I've been cheated on. So
yeah,
it's like it's to me, it sounds more like, um, emotional maturity, yes, but on
mhm,
her part, it's like projection because
mhm,
she's like, "I'm a cheater, so that I'm gonna think you're cheating because I know what I'm capable of doing." So, it's like questioning every little thing. So it's like, "Okay, but wait, you've literally just admitted you're a cheater,
mhm.
and now you're projecting your nonsense onto me
Yes.
because who said I'm the cheater? I'm not." Or
Yeah, yeah,
like, whatever.
I have, yeah, I've never, yeah, I've never done that in my life, to be
Well,
honest with
I unfortunately, I have.
you. Yeah,
I have
it's okay.
cheated, I
People do.
have been cheated on,
Listen,
but
listen, I understand people do
yeah.
mistakes, and I would
Yeah.
still date somebody. I'll still date somebody that cheats, because people
Yeah,
do that.
I'm not a believer of once a cheater, always a cheater
Yeah,
nonsense. I think you can grow.
yeah,
I think once you hit like a certain age though, and you are continually cheating,
yeah, yeah,
then I have questions.
yeah,
Because I'm like, okay,
serial cheater, yeah,
yeah.
that's a different story. But if you cheat once, then I would just, like,
Or even you're cheating in your 20s, I can
yeah,
give you a pass if you're cheating in your 20s. But if you're like mid-30s and you're still doing that nonsense, like, then what's
yeah,
going on here?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
then I
yeah,
have
yeah,
questions.
yeah,
But yeah, no, it's like you're allowed to have friends, you're allowed to have female friends.
mhm, mhm,
Like, I mean, I don't know how many female friends my boyfriend has really. I know he works with female coworkers and whatnot.
yeah,
Um, so it's like I'm not gonna like get on you
mhm,
because you're with friends or you're
mhm,
with females or whatever.
mhm,
Um, Mind you, I may have questions because he has cheated on me before.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
been many
yeah,
years now. He's kind of
yeah,
done a lot of growing up, but he has cheated before. So
yeah,
for me, it's like, yeah, I'm going to question a little bit, but I'm not going to question him to the point of being like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." No, I'm going to be like, "I'm going to trust you, and until
mhm,
you prove me otherwise."
mm,
He'd be an idiot to cheat on me. He knows I'm the best thing. So
mhm,
I have a lot of patience with him, so he would be an idiot. But that's the thing. It's just kind of like you have to know how to come out of it yourself,
mhm,
and be like, I know this is my problem, and I have to kind of grow from it. Like
right,
initially, I literally told him, like, be patient with me. I might have moments where I'm questioning everything you're doing.
um,
But no, it's my problem and I'm working on it. And that's what
right,
I did.
mhm,
'Cause that's that shows emotional maturity or just
right,
maturity in general, but
right,
anyways.
okay, yeah,
Number 2, deflects and puts blame onto others. It's kind of what you just mentioned.
mhm,
Emotionally immature men or anyone for that matter may deflect and place blame on others instead of taking responsibility for their own actions. Quote, this
Yeah.
might come from fear of vulnerability or lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It could be emotional maturity, but then that's like one step away from narcissism as well. Cause it's like you're incapable of ever seeing your faults to the point where, yes, you are deflecting, which can also be, I wouldn't necessarily say deflecting is gaslighting necessarily, but
Mhm, mhm.
blaming others, like that, yeah, that's something that can definitely happen.
Does it have to do with like anything with like guilt as well? Like,
Um, I don't know if guilt is necessarily what they're getting at because I think like, yes, that can happen, but is that necessarily emotional immaturity? Or is that just a guilty conscience because you could be lying or keeping things from somebody or whatever? I
yeah.
think in this case, what they're talking about, it's like you so that's the thing. It could be like a touch of narcissism as well, because that's kind of where my brain is going. So when like if you're with a narcissist, they are just clinically incapable of taking blame. It is never
Mm,
their fault.
mhm,
Even
mhm.
if it is their fault, it is never their fault. It is your
Right.
fault. It is the other
Right.
person's fault. I do no wrong. I'm perfect. You're the problem. It's not me. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? So
mhm.
that's like, I think more what they're kind of referring to than feeling guilty. Um, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay.
Um,
Alright.
So, number three, raises his voice to get a point across. So, an emotionally immature partner may raise their voice to get a point across in a disagreement. Quote, people who are not used to having emotional conversations with logic justify their point using the volume of their voice. In their minds, the loudest is the most correct. Some also believe that investing noise in the argument is investing love in the relationship. And if they think that way, that's a problem.
No, I'm right. No, you're wrong.
Basically, that's a problem because it's like, listen, you don't have to raise your voice. And again, I was probably the kind of person in my early 20s
Mhm.
that would raise their voice to get their point across.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't do that as much anymore in relationships.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think I've also learned every man is different too. Like how I could handle my ex-husband versus how I cannot handle my current relationship is very different. I cannot raise my voice at my boyfriend. He's going to shut down. So I know I can't raise my voice to him. It takes a lot for me to raise my voice at all.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
recently raised my voice to my boyfriend maybe a couple weeks ago because
I
he did a very stupid thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That could
I
have
feel like that takes a lot of energy as well, like, raising
It
your
does,
voice.
and it's
It's
the
just
thing, like, I had just come out of an osteopath appointment. I'm
yeah, yeah,
feeling chill, um,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I don't even care at this point. I will just put it out there, TMI. We had just had sex the hour before. I went to my osteopath appointment. I'm
Mm,
like I'm good, right?
mhm,
I'm in bliss, and then he
mhm.
ruined it. So I'm so
Yeah.
it that's the thing, like, I wanna stay in my zen, don't wanna
Mm,
ruin that,
mhm.
but in that case, like, he deserved to be yelled at in that moment because it's like you're affecting not only you, but you're affecting me now, um, so that's happened, but I can't even tell you the last time I raised my voice to him because I just don't, um and I think the last time I ever did, which would have probably been with my ex-husband, really raise my voice, um, he very calmly was like, "You're not gonna talk to me that way." And you know what? It
Mhm,
clicked something in my brain where I'm like, "I don't have to be like that." And really changed my ways when I was with him, and
mm,
then, kinda went through. So, I can recognize that I was like that, but again,
mhm,
I'm like 22, 23. We
mhm.
are emotionally immature at 22, 23.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
Mhm,
then, you grow and whatever. So you
mhm.
do not need to raise your voice to get your point across. You do not need to be the
Yeah,
loudest in the room to get your point across. If anything, I think if you're quiet and you're
yeah,
leveled in your
Yeah.
voice,
Yeah.
it it's actually more effective. It's really is.
Yeah, even if you're like, you smooth out your voice a little bit, you lower down your
Yeah.
voice. Sometimes your partner is gonna tell you that tone down your voice, even though your voice is just like, a little smoother, which is
Yeah.
weird, right?
Yeah.
But
It's all about the
uh,
tone. It's all about the tone of your voice. Like if you're
yeah,
like really stern, like even though I like raised my voice to him like a few weeks back, I wasn't like yelling or screaming. I was okay, maybe I was partially yelling, but I wasn't
yeah,
screaming. And
yeah,
it's 9 times out of 10, like, this is how I will talk to him if I'm angry with him, if I'm upset with him, but with a little edge to it and be like,
mhm,
"You need to cut it out," or whatever. Um,
yeah,
and it gets the point across. He responds better to that. And honestly, like I say it's him, but I feel like most of us really truly respond better when you're kind of talking to someone. Yes, you're upset, but you're treating them with respect. I think
yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
And
Um,
it's the words that you choose too, so that
and
as
the words
well.
that you choose as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can say you can have like a lower tone voice, but the words is
Yeah.
it will hit somebody. Even though you're
Yeah.
not swearing as well, like certain words, yeah. But
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I never will call him names. Like I
mhm,
might swear, but I'm not necessarily swearing at him. Like I think that's the difference.
mm,
I've never called him names. He's ever called me names in an argument. Like yeah, so like I'm not necessarily swearing at him or anything like that. I'm not like I'm not but it's like even the other day, like he kind of I think got upset about something we were talking about. I can't remember what the details were, it doesn't really matter. But he kind of got snippy and whatever, because we were in the middle of an argument, but he got a little snippy. And
mhm,
um afterwards, we kinda took a few hours that's the other thing too. If you're in an argument and you can tell there's just no resolution at this moment, we're just incapable of doing that, I'm a big person of, like, I'm going to take time. I need time away from you. I can't talk to you right now. I don't
mhm,
want you anywhere near me. I need space. Um, so I took a couple of hours and we came back to it, and he's like, "I'm sorry that I got upset with you earlier." And I didn't even catch that. I didn't because I was the one that was angry with him, and then he kinda got snippy, but I didn't even catch that. And I was like,
mhm,
that just goes to show it's like, yes, you're upset, but it's like the words you used did not clue into me that you too were upset or you felt like, you're being ganged up on or whatever the case may have been. So,
mhm.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, man. I just like going back on the like, name calling. I when it comes to arguments, I try to avoid name calling as much as possible
me
because like
too.
I feel like it will hurt somebody.
Me
I
too.
just direct my if I'm arguing with someone, I direct what we're arguing about and
Mhm.
not resort to name calling. Because if you go there,
Yeah.
that means like we're just trying to hurt each other as much as
Right.
possible.
Right.
And it's just basically using weapons and knives and
Yeah.
all that stuff and calling name calling. But yeah, yeah,
And
I
that's how
do.
it was with my husband as well. Like we very rarely would call each other. Well, no, that's not true. He wouldn't call me names, but I would sometimes call him names if he really pushed it. Mind you, that relationship was an absolute shit show when I look back at it. But whatever. Um, he would 9 times out of 10. I can't even think of a time that he ever really called me a name, even though
Mm,
I would throw names at him. He would
uh-huh,
never do it. Um, so yeah, like again, that is kind of goes to show again, I was in my mid early to mid 20s with him.
uh-huh,
Um, and the difference with my boyfriend is me and him met when I was in my well, mid 20s as well. I was 26. But,
uh-huh.
we've known each other
So
8 years, so we've done a lot of growing up in the
yeah,
time we've known each other.
uh-huh.
So
That's okay. Yeah,
yeah.
we all grow, from our mistakes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, number four, which again is another trait of a narcissist, has difficulty with taking criticism. So, Dr. DeVore says that in general, those without emotional maturity can have difficulty taking criticism and might get angry or defensive when dealing with feedback, even if it's constructive. Quote, they might lash out, shut down, or dismiss the feedback entirely. This could be because emotionally immature men often tie their self-worth to being right, so criticism feels like a personal attack. Um, so I know, like, people tend to not like Dr. Phil, but one of the things honestly, guys, I'm kind of right there with it too. I don't know, man, Dr. Phil, calm it down.
Yeah.
But the one things that he definitely said, while he was still on the air, um, was, "Do you wanna be right or do you wanna be happy?" You can't always be right, because right doesn't necessarily mean happiness.
Hmm.
So,
I do. Yeah, I
yeah,
do agree with that. Cause
yeah,
like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, being right all the time, it's lonely.
Yeah, it can lead to, not a great relationship. Cause
Mhm,
like one person wants to be right all the time, da da da. And I know like a lot of men will choose their other partner, like their female or a guy or whatever,
mhm,
and will choose the counterpart as the right one. That's always right, but you
mhm,
that one person cannot always be right.
right.
Sometimes you just gotta, you can be wrong.
Yeah,
It,
and
there's no,
women are like that as well.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
women have to
yeah,
sometimes always be right or always be the number one or whatever, like, um, so yeah.
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. That I don't want.
It's
I didn't
that's
want
why I
to.
say it's
I
not
didn't want
just
to
men,
cherry
right?
pick
It's
it.
women too.
I didn't want to cherry pick it. It's like, like
No, no,
it happens.
women are just as bad
Yeah,
and
it
can be just
happens.
as bad.
I know, I know, I know. Like when, like it's just like there's a quote out there that says like you're happy wife, happy life,
Mhm.
and I'm like, hmm,
To a degree. To a
I,
degree.
I
Here's
mean,
what I'll say.
yeah,
Um, as a person who was a wife, and as a
yeah,
person who is in a relationship with a man,
yeah,
um, both of them it's funny, my boyfriend, time from time to time will call me, like, the boss or I'm the boss or, like, whatever.
yeah,
My
yeah.
ex-husband used to do the exact same thing, and I remember telling my boyfriend that, I'm like, "It's funny, my ex used to say the same thing about me,"
Mhm.
and he's like, "Yeah, it's because you are." So,
Yeah.
I think the reason and my ex-husband had that kinda thing too, where he was like, happy wife, happy life," because as long as I'm happy and not to say that I'm expecting crazy things, so that's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
There is a limit to that. I'm not gonna say, "Go rob a bank." That'll
yeah,
make me happy.
yeah,
It's more about, like, if I say something needs to be done or
yeah.
because that's the thing.
I just
Me
having
and my
fun.
Yeah, me and my boyfriend have really been not getting along,
Yeah,
um, all the time. There's more
yeah,
arguments happening because we actually are, like, looking for a place together right now.
yeah,
Um, so when it's like, I want him to fill out this application or I need him to give me this or that, it's kind of like, I wanted it yesterday when it's taking you 5 days to do it. It's
mhm,
like, I want it now. And when it's like, when I'm not getting what I want, when I
mhm,
want it, when it's
mhm,
reasonable because we have
mhm,
things we're doing and
mhm,
you're more concerned with other things, that upsets me. So
mhm.
I'm no longer happy, which means you're not happy. So as long
Right.
as you are keeping me happy in the sense of I want this done and I want it done in a
Yeah,
timely manner,
yeah,
that I want you to prioritize this,
yeah,
then I'm happy. And
yeah,
then you're happy. So it's real
uh,
simple. I don't
yeah.
see the problem.
I understand that, but like, but are you? is the guy happy? That's the problem.
He's
If your
happy
wife
when I
is happy,
am.
are
I
you
don't know what
happy?
to tell you.
I know that you're happy, but truly and really,
Mhm,
if I said that to my wife, happy life, da da da, make her
mhm.
happy, blah blah. Am I
I
happy?
think it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, like
Right.
just putting my energy to make you happy, but am I happy?
No, because
Yes
here
and no at the same time.
that's what I'm trying to say, though. It
Yeah,
depends on the circumstances
yeah, yeah.
because if I'm happy, my goal is to
Mhm,
do nothing but make him happy. I want
mhm.
us both to be happy. But
Yeah,
when
that's
I'm not happy anymore,
mhm,
I don't give a shit. I'm just like, you're pissing me off,
mhm,
whatever. That's the thing. I mean, I don't wanna speak for him, but as far as I know, he is
mhm,
happy with me. But yes, you're gonna have these moments
right,
where you're not getting along with each other. And those are the moments that we have because it's like yeah, what I was saying is
mhm,
I I think that if in this particular situation that we're
mhm,
dealing with,
mhm,
it's like I'm a person that's like, I wanna get this done, and I
mhm,
wanna get it done in a timely fashion. I don't
mhm,
want it hanging over my head,
mhm,
especially when I'm the one that's kind of stick handling us finding a place. I'm the one that's going and looking for places. I'm the one organizing between the 2 of us who's gonna go see those viewings. I'm I'm the one who's, doing all the other things that we're doing with
mhm,
this. Um, it's a lot on me, so then when I'm kind of like, "Can we get this going?" and I
mhm,
feel like you're holding things up from actually happening, that upsets me. When I see you can put your energy into other things that's going on in his life, that I'm like, to me,
mhm,
can we, like, handle that a bit better?
right,
And you're not.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
mhm,
So that's where the thing is. That's where it comes from, where it's like, I am not a happy. You're not gonna be happy either because
mhm,
now I'm going to get upset with you, and now we're in the middle of an argument.
yeah, I
So
don't know.
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
It's not about only person's happiness that matters in the
yeah,
relationship is mine
mhm,
or,
yeah,
a
yeah,
woman's happiness is the only thing that matters. No, that isn't correct. It shouldn't
mhm,
just be our happiness that's important.
yeah,
But let's be very real.
mhm,
9 times out of 10 ladies who are in relationships with especially men,
mhm,
are we or are we not pretty much doing the most in a relationship? 9
it
times, like,
it dep I would say it depends.
it
I would say,
depends,
yeah, it
but
depends
in my
what your role is. Yeah,
experience with men,
yeah,
so especially in the last really 2 major relationships of my life, which was my ex-husband and now this
mhm,
relationship, I managed everything in our relationship,
yeah, yeah,
right? I'm making sure he's staying afloat. I'm making sure that the money is spreading where it needs to go to. I'm the one in this case looking for a place 9 times out of 10. He has not really been doing that. It's been mainly me. I'm doing all of those things. When we have kids, a lot of that's going to be on me in terms of raising the kids. He'll be there 100%. He's going to help raise those kids. But let's be real, it's always the 9 times out of 10 on the women. We're the ones doing grocery shopping. We're the ones cleaning the house. We're the ones doing all of those things. We're still somewhere in there working
mhm,
40 hours a week. We're
mhm,
doing all of those things.
right,
So it's like, yeah, and sure, I'm happy.
mhm,
And if I'm happy, guess what? So are you.
yeah,
Because if you're helping me with things, if
true,
you're, checking in on me,
mhm,
you know, those those love languages really are important, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Not to
yeah, no,
rely on in everyday life, but
yeah,
they're important.
yeah.
Those things and
I think it goes on both sides as well. Like if you
but
check
that's
on
what
that,
I'm trying to
yeah,
get
yeah,
at
that
with
too.
what
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
saying,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
right? That's what I'm trying to get at, and it's like,
Like,
if you're helping me take
mhm,
care of the house,
mhm,
then I'm helping you with whatever else that you wanna get done, or,
mhm,
like, that's
mhm,
honestly a way to a woman's, like, the way to have a woman really, like, want to have sex with you. Let's just be real, a lot of men, y'all are happy when you're having sex. Let's just be real here.
yeah,
Um, and the way to make sure, like, we want you is to help out or take the pressure off or whatever. Um, that is, like, the biggest way to turn us on, you know? Like, for me, gone are the days where it's like, oh, when men would ask, "Well, what turns you on?" and you say something superficial, it's kind of
mhm,
like now it's like, pay my bills or clean a dish or whatever, and
mhm,
that's kind of like that's the way that's like, that's gonna turn me on, you know what I mean?
right,
So,
right. Definitely,
that's
definitely.
that's my definition of happy wife, happy life. It's like,
Mm,
we're both ensuring
mhm,
each other's happiness really and truly. It's not my my happiness alone. That shouldn't be the main focus, if that makes sense.
I feel like you can go by happy life, happy relationship.
Yeah, and honestly, that's
Both
kind of
sides.
what I was describing in a sense. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah. Set in
happy.
life.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think, like, a woman, and I don't wanna say, like, to make it seem like we're crazy or something, because 'cause we're
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I don't know.
Some of
No,
us
no.
can be.
I understand.
But I think with the women,
Uh-huh.
it's like we control the atmosphere in a home.
Ye yes. Yes,
Whether
yes.
it's, like, your parent or your partner or whatever, we really control the atmosphere in a home.
Mhm.
So, that's kinda what it comes down to, you know?
Do
So,
you
like,
think it
if
go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Do you think it's mostly because, like, a lot of, women are basically, housewives, and it goes back to that? Do you think so? Or is it
Mm,
basically because like, we just come home, the man comes home from work, blah, blah, blah,
mhm,
da, da, da,
mhm.
you know?
Well, I
But
don't know if a housewife is as prominent now, right, as it
mm,
was in, like, the '50s or
yeah, no.
'60s, um, but
Most women want
ye
that.
I feel
Most
like
yeah,
I feel like
traditional.
women back in the '50s would have tried to control their tempers a little bit more, because if especially with, like, if women are crazy, if women are this, if women are that, or whatever, historically, women would always be sent to an insane asylum. Because if you're getting angry all the time, or if you, God forbid, have a period, or whatever, we would be sent to insane asylums. Like, that's historically factual. So I feel like the '50s is still so close to when that stuff was happening that I think we would have tried to control ourselves a bit more. I feel like now, where it's like our only responsibility isn't just keeping house. Um,
Mm,
so I feel like we are a little bit more um, prone to losing our minds if we're not getting help. If you sometimes you're just like, I'm over it today, or whatever. It's like, when I'm over it today, I just kind of want you to step in, you know? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think that's kind of like when I hear like my boss basically say, "Oh, I normally don't do stuff in the house. I tend to do more so the outdoor stuff, but I don't really do like the indoor stuff." I'm like, that would not fly for me. Like, that would not fly for me. God bless his wife, but that would not fly
Mm,
for me. Um, so, yeah, it's just like, we just want, just whatever works for you, we just wanna be content,
mhm.
um, and have support from our partner. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, that quote is just I just hear that quote so many times by the older generation. It just sometimes
I
it makes
think it
me like
applied more
cringe.
to the
It just
older
makes me
generation for sure.
yeah, it just
I
makes me
think,
cringe.
yeah,
Yeah, cringe.
yeah.
Cause just to go back on that just a little bit
Mhm,
before we go into the next topic. Cause it just involves men's mental health as well, right?
Hmm, yeah, I see
That's
that.
yeah, yeah. It just it just cringe right there. So like that's why I just like yeah. But yeah,
But
go ahead.
again, I think in the literal sense,
Yeah.
that, yes, is a problem,
Mm,
but I think for a lot of people, especially in this generation, or
yeah.
again, I can only speak on, like, my experiences being in a relationship with a man and being married before. It
Mm,
it's more nuanced than that, because of
mm,
course I care about my partner's well-being and his mental health. I always check in on him,
mhm,
because what I will say is when he is not at his best, that hits me because
mhm.
I don't want him to be suffering.
Yeah.
So that happy wife, happy life mentality, sometimes he can't care about my happiness because he's trying to focus on getting himself back to 0.
Mm,
So, it yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, of course I care about his well-being, and when I know he's not doing good, I have to be the strong one and step in
yeah.
and make sure
Yeah,
he's okay,
just ask if he's
right?
okay, like
Yeah, which, like,
yeah.
I'm
Uh,
prone now to,
yeah.
I've dealt with his ups and downs
Yes.
with his mental
Mhm,
health, and, um,
mhm,
so that is always I here's the thing,
mhm,
I'm so in tune with him, but it's like, even if he's not saying it, I know
mhm,
he's not okay. I can
mhm.
tell by his responses, by how
Right.
he's talking to me. I
Yeah.
know when he's not okay.
Mhm,
Um, so when I know he's not okay, just based on observing, of course, my happiness is the last thing on the list. I need to make sure he's okay.
yeah.
And that's how it was with my ex as well. It's he didn't so much deal with mental health as much as maybe he does now,
Mhm,
issues, but
mhm,
obviously I need to make sure he's okay. Because
mhm.
in the end of the day, my main priority is the person that I'm with. I need to make sure you're okay because I
Mhm.
know if I'm not, you're stepping in as well. So it goes back and forth. So for me, the happy wife, happy life mentality, it's nuanced. It's not as cut and dry
Right.
as that. And I can't speak
Right.
for everyone else, but for me, it's a nuanced thing. I'm
Mhm.
happy, you're happy, but that can also go back and forth. You know what I mean?
Uh, and then
Mm.
one more thing. How do you feel about 50-50 and traditional? Because a lot of women, and I noticed this, a lot of women have a problem with 50-50. I see that.
And a lot more traditional.
And they're more towards traditional because like
Mhm.
the Bible says a man's supposed to be the leader in the role, which
Mm.
I do agree. I don't have a problem with either or. I don't
Mhm.
have a problem with 50-50. I don't
Mhm.
have a problem with the traditional. But when you have a
Mhm.
problem with one thing and you don't want to do it, then
Mhm.
that's like, when a man's just asking you, we should try to do 50-50, work with each other. I feel like the 50-50 one is more of a healthy relationship versus a traditional one if you have the most resources in the household.
Mhm.
So I don't know, like I feel like 50-50 is more healthier than a traditional one,
Mhm.
right? So I feel like there's a power dynamic in the traditional relationship
Mhm.
versus 50-50. How do you feel about that?
So, what I'll say about that is, first and foremost, if that is something that both parties want and they are in agreement to that,
Yeah,
then all the power to you. Um, for me, anytime, like, especially when I hear people talk about that, like on like Love is Blind or like Bachelor or whatever, when I
yeah,
hear people talk about like the traditional roles and I want you paying all my money or paying all my bills and I work just for so I can buy things for myself. Like I've heard things like that being said
yes.
on these things. And I'm just like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
And it's not like what you see a lot today.
Yeah.
And it does make me think like, but what does he want? Like, did he say that he wanted that? Because
Mhm.
again, like, I think if a man wants to have those true traditional roles where it's in sense of the man's like not in a sexual sense, but the man is like the dominant, and you're a little bit more submissive, or you at least
Mhm.
like let him
Mhm.
lead you, or you have the mentality of, you know, he's the head and you're the neck,
Right.
where basically that's exactly what it sounds like. You might move him to where you want to go, but at the end of
Right.
the day, he's the one that's making those decisions.
Yeah.
And sure, like that can maybe work for you. Um,
Yeah, I just feel like that there's a huge part of mine. It was the traditional way, which I just slightly don't agree with, to be honest with you, because like that could
no,
lead to
I don't.
arguments,
That's not how things work in my
fights,
relationship.
yeah,
No.
fights and etc. All that stuff. Like
Well, no,
I
it
I
may not
wouldn't.
necessarily be foods though, because
Yeah,
if both
yeah,
parties are in agreement to it, then it's
yeah.
not
True.
fights.
Yeah.
You guys have both agreed this is what you want to do.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's true. That's
right?
true. Yeah,
But
I agree with.
for me personally,
Hmm.
that is just not how things work in my
Yeah.
relationship. Um, we are 50-50 in
Mhm.
decision making and financial stuff. We
That's
are
good.
50-50. And again, this is coming from a place of I'm in African culture, that's not typical. It is not typical for 50-50.
Yes.
Traditional is typical.
Yes.
Um, so for him and I, when we talked about those things, he said, "And I don't believe in that, though. Like, I don't believe in that. I think we both have a say in what goes on. I think we both,
That's
do
good.
what we gotta do." Like, that's very important to me.
I agree.
So yeah, so that's how things work in my relationship.
That that makes you
Um,
feel like you're an equal, right? It makes you
yes,
feel like
he
you have some
respects what I
type of.
have to say. He respects me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like that of course is what I want in my relationship. And
Yeah.
I will say like I know with my ex-husband when we were together, that's how we were as well. 50-50.
Yes.
We're both
Yes.
working, we're both hustling, we're both doing all the decision making. Like we were 50-50. I know now that's not how he thinks. He thinks more traditional now. I don't know
Mhm.
if for him that is a way to control,
Yeah.
because let's be very real, he has not had has not been successful in relationships.
Um.
Obviously me and him got divorced. That's something I started. That's
Yeah.
not what he wanted. It's what I
Mhm.
did. Um, Relationships he's had since have not worked out. So
Yeah.
I do wonder if like that's his way of controlling the situation, not necessarily controlling the woman, but controlling the situation. Because like if I'm the one that's making the decisions,
Mhm.
then whatever. Um, I know he would say to me, "You never
Mhm.
listen to me. You don't listen to
Right.
me. You don't listen to me." He would say that to me all the time.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn as hell. I listen to nobody else to myself. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you married me knowing that though. So like, I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
There's just like I
I
did.
don't take
Yeah. I dealt with somebody that had that like around like November that said like uh I do like just like it says in the Bible that the man is supposed to be the leader, the traditional one. That I'm like,
yeah, no.
and I just don't like that. I feels like I was trying to explain to her like like why don't we not have you know a decision of 50-50 in like finances. She's like, no, I
Mhm.
don't do finances. I'm like, so you're saying that you don't want to have control of your own finances in the relationship, which I just is baffling to me because
Yeah.
like it just it's like you don't want to cheat like when we have a daughter or what just say if you have a daughter We're
Mhm.
not going to teach her those values at all. We're not going to
So,
teach her how to.
and that's the thing. It's like, I mean, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're not going to, like, your children or your daughter
Mhm,
wouldn't necessarily, you know, have their own views on things. Because if I look at, like, my grandparents, to who obviously are much older, right? I've been married for over 50 years.
mhm,
Um, shoot, actually, they've been married over 6 years. Um, they they're obviously very traditional in the sense of my grandma's also a Taurus, so she's stubborn as hell, but, um, she would probably be the person that's, like, taking control of certain things. Like, she would be, like, the bookkeeper, she would do those things, right?
mhm,
Um, and she definitely ran the household, you know? Um, but my grandpa definitely made more of those decisions, and she
mhm,
definitely relied on him to make those big decisions
mhm.
that relied on him.
Yeah,
And obviously, my mom is seeing that.
yeah.
My mom is not like that. My mom doesn't need to depend on a man
Mhm,
to do those things for her because she's been doing it for as long as I can remember.
right.
And because of that, I'm who I am today.
Mhm.
I wasn't raised to rely on a man. I wasn't raised to depend on a man or feel like I
Exactly.
need to be in a relationship.
Exactly.
Or, like, I've literally said, like, I unfortunately, I see the differences between how I was raised by a single parent and how another friend of mine was raised by a single parent. Our views on these things is very different. I'm in the view set of I am in control of my own decisions and we can come together and we'll talk about those things.
Right.
Whereas she is like, I'm perfectly fine with my partner, making those decisions. That is not my life. That is not for
Right.
me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that just shows the differences between how I was raised versus how she was raised because, like, we won't get
Mhm.
into her upbringing, but there's a reason why I'm saying that. I'm just like, there's just a huge difference between that. And I've literally said, "Listen, I want to have kids with him. This is who I wanna have my life with. This is who I want to have that with, but you can best believe if you are going to disrespect me, if you're going to do anything stupid to me or whatever, I have no problems being a single parent because I came from a single parent who did it,
Mm.
and I turned out okay." So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind
Okay.
of where my head is at, where I feel like
Mhm.
some people don't feel that way. Some
Right.
people will stay in a relationship just because they wanna do it for the kids, where it's like, I'm fine. I'll figure it out."
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We now can go on the next topic. I know that was a
Yeah.
really long one. Good conversation. Go ahead.
Okay, so number 5 justifies poor behavior by using past events and perceived slights. So, does your partner use past events and perceived slights to justify their current poor behavior? Then they may be emotionally immature. Quote, someone who cannot let go of the past or is holding on to real or imagined slights of the past is not emotionally mature enough to be in a relationship, romantic or otherwise.
Mhm.
Number 6, has a tough time with emotional conversations. Emotionally immature men might have a difficult time engaging in conversations around emotions. They might withdraw, get silent, or avoid the subject altogether in order to avoid discomfort. That was my ex husband. Men who do
Is
this
it,
often lack the tools to process or express their emotions.
I sometimes do this.
Well,
Sometimes,
then you might be emotionally immature. I feel like you need to have like more.
sometimes. I understand that I need to improve on that.
Yeah.
I need to improve, but like it's just sometimes. It's just like sometimes it just you just like some conversations you just gotta just leave alone and just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Which
like
I think is
I don't
okay to
want.
do though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the
take a
types of
beat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Triggered by perceived emotional distance. So, if someone who's emotionally immature perceives that there might be some emotional distance going on with their partner, they may become emotionally triggered, as Dr. DeGanis says. This can include physical distance. Which again, it's like, I feel like that used to be me a little bit, where it's like, why aren't you giving me, like, why is it taking you 2 hours to respond to a text? Why, like, aren't you here when you say you're gonna be, like, something like that. More so, not so much the physical distance for me, but the emotional. That was something I definitely dealt with. Whereas now it's like, you could take 5, 6 hours to not respond to a message. More for me is when, like, I've texted you 5 hours, 6 hours before. This is mainly with my boyfriend, though. When you do
It's
that.
not just you, it's a lot of people. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people are like that. It's just like
yeah.
it's
But it's
ridiculous.
like, I
You have
don't
a
need you to
phone.
respond
No,
immediately.
no, like no offense. You have a
Yeah.
phone. Answer the phone, please. Like just one text to see if you're all right. I don't know if you're dead. I don't know if you're on the floor. I don't know if died at a Walmart or something like that.
Shit. Why at Walmart?
Just, just text. Just sit. Hi, how you doing? Are you
Yeah, yeah,
good?
yeah.
Like I like as soon as sometimes yeah, I may take a little longer than usual, but
Yeah.
most like I would say 85% of the time, I will respond to you. I will respond to you.
And
So
I
like
think for me too, it's like, for me, if I'm getting a text message, I feel like this obligation to, like, respond in a timely fashion because, like, I get a little bit more, um, like, not, let's say, triggered. That's not the kind of word I wanna use in this case, but, like, I feel like the pressure, I guess, to answer you as soon as possible. And that's kinda how I've also been with, like, emails as well, like, with work. Right now, currently, my inbox is probably at, like, 70 unread emails. At this point, I'm like, "It is
I'm
what
I'm
it
s-
is."
I mean it is yeah, no,
But, like,
unread
5
emails.
years ago,
I have
that
a
was
lot. I
another.
have lots of emails. Unread emails that
Yeah,
I
but
need
this is,
to.
like, work emails. So, like, work
Yeah,
emails is different than my
yeah,
personal
yeah,
emails, but,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
my work emails, it's like, I hate having them look unread. I want them all to not be unread.
So,
But that's, like, a me
yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah,
And now where I'm at in my job, than I was, like, even 5 years ago, I'm just like, "Oh, well, I'll get to it when I get to it." Like, it is what it is, like, I don't know what to say
yeah.
anymore. But with the text messages, it's a little different for me because it's like, you're texting me, okay, I'm gonna respond back to you. It might take me a minute, but I'm gonna respond back to you.
Mm.
It's, I think it's rude not to.
Yeah,
And that's what my
yeah,
boyfriend
that
did
just
to me on the weekend. Like, yesterday, actually, I'm texting
yeah.
him important things, and I'm
Mhm,
texting him. He's putting me on red, but then not responding, which is not usual. He doesn't do
yeah,
that. So when
yeah.
you do that, I'm like, hello? Like, I text you. Why aren't you texting? And I'm talking like it's been 5, 6 hours that
Mhm,
I text you this. I see I'm on red, and, like, you're not answering me.
mhm.
Sir. Like, answer me. And I literally texted him, like, "Why do you keep reading my messages but then not responding to me? You're pissing me off."
So
He fixed himself real quick.
so
"Don't do that to me. Just don't. You're
yeah,
better off not
yeah,
reading my message for
yeah,
hours because then I think, okay, you just haven't read it yet. When I see you've read it and
yeah,
you're still not texting me back,
yeah,
the hell are you doing?
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
is so
yeah.
important?"
Like, I understand if you're at work, like,
Oh, yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah, that's cool,
Yeah. We don't talk
but,
very
like,
much during
I
the
know
day
when
because
you're
we're both
yeah,
working.
there'll be times I know that you're home at tough, and you're just, like, not answering, like, you gotta answer. Like, like, what's the point of having a ph if you don't have a phone, understandable, but you have a phone.
Yeah, what the hell? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
And I know, like, he
what are you
just
doing?
went to his
Yeah,
friend,
yeah,
who's at the hospital. He's been at the hospital for a few weeks now, and it's like he just kinda goes there for support. Like, "You really trying to tell me you can't take a second to respond back to
mhm,
me?
mhm.
Like, the hell?
Yeah, yeah,
Sir."
I don't get people who just it's just like, "Oh, I don't answer my texts." I'm like, "So what's the point of having the
What's
phone?"
the point of having a phone then?
It's just what's the point of it's like
For me,
I
it's
just
more
can't.
of,
I
I
can't
may
look
not answer if you're calling me,
yeah.
'cause, like, why are you calling me? That's a text.
Mhm.
You know what I
I
mean?
just
I
yeah.
hate when people call me. Like, even my boyfriend, "Why the you calling?
Mhm.
Don't call
Mhm.
me."
Mhm.
But, like, whatever. But, so that's more for me. But, like, the people hear people say I don't answer text messages, then what the hell are we doing? Get a flip phone then. Why do you need a smartphone?
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, it's just yeah, yeah. Can you wait, on your phone plan, can you just, like, not have not have text messages on there, or is it just, like
I have no clue.
is it okay,
I have
I
no
can't remember
clue
if it
in this day
can
and age.
I don't know if it's unlimited, I need to pay certain I think it's unlimited text messages and unlimited, calls, unlimited
I
well,
have no clue.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
No clue.
anyways, but
Yeah.
yeah, those I don't I don't know those types of people. It just turns me off a little bit, so,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Um, Number 8, acts on emotions without thinking. Dr. DeVore says that that people who aren't emotionally mature might act on emotions without thinking about the consequences, otherwise known as making impulsive decisions. Quote, this behavior usually comes from lack of self regulation, making it difficult to pause and respond thoughtfully.
See, I used to do this when I was younger.
Yeah,
A
I think
lot of
that's
people
okay
do
to do
this,
that when
yeah,
you're
yeah,
younger,
yeah, younger,
you
but,
know?
like, when you're older, you just I get to just slow down, and tell yourself to
Yeah.
slow down, think, and I just like, "What will happen to this person if you do this?
Mm,
What will happen if you do, put this, like, hammer into into the wall? Would it damage it, or will it go in slowly?" So, like,
mhm,
yeah, so, like, basically, you gotta think. Yes, take your time to think and then do.
mhm,
There'll be times, like, you have quick decisions, like, quick decisions, but, yeah, take your time to take your time and then do. Don't just do and then think and just, "Oh, damn, I made a mistake." Well, I mean, like, there will be times you do that, but, like, don't do it a lot of the time. Don't do that mistake numerous of times, because like,
mm,
if you do it, you might either hurt yourself or hurt somebody. So,
mhm.
yeah. Go ahead.
Number 9, leaves confrontations before reaching a resolution. Perhaps your partner tends to leave confrontations before there's a resolution and has no intention to continue the conversation at a later time. This
Mm,
can be a sign of emotional immaturity. Dr. DeGanna says, quote, a lack of comfort in confrontation means they'd rather avoid all confrontation instead of admitting that they were wrong. Even when someone is right in a disagreement, the stress of confrontation dissuades the person from reintroducing the topic, which Um, I haven't really dealt with that with my boyfriend. There was
switch
one time I dealt with that with my ex where he tried to
topic?
literally leave my house in the middle
Uh-huh.
of a fight,
Mm,
and I'm like, "Where the hell do you think you're going?" Um, there's also a fine line of that though too. Don't chase after the person because you wanna, resolve it.
oh, yeah,
That's also not
that
good.
will lead into more,
That could lead into
yeah,
that makes me think
physical
of, um
physical,
a spoiler alert for those who haven't watched the
yeah.
movie, but that makes me think of It Ends With Us, which, uh which I do talk about in Wednesday's episode that I did watch this movie. But there is one scene where she's, like, chasing after him
Mhm.
into the stairwell to kind of resolve the conflict, and it, like, then leads him to, like, push her down the stairs,
Yes.
which, let's make this very clear, he's an abusive throughout the entire time, and it's really oh my god, the movie's done so well where it's like, they put it in such a way when these issues are happening, where it's like, "Did I see that right? Did I see him actually hit me? Did
Mhm.
I see him actually push me down those stairs? Did I see that happen?" And then when she comes to the realization of, "Oh, yeah, he literally looked at me and then hit me. Oh, yeah, he really did take me and push me downstairs." It's such a well done movie that,
Mm.
it kind of makes you realize, like, you're clouded in how you see things in the moment. But then when you think about it after, it's then you really think about it. Um, so yeah, it's like also because when I remember watching that scene and I see her going after him, I'm like, oh honey, don't go after him. Don't go after him. Let him go.
Mhm.
Um, and then that happens. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, like, you know, don't do that either. Not necessarily because he's gonna necessarily hurt you or anything, but just don't do that.
Mhm.
Um, but I also think it's important to resolve an issue, or if you're gonna come back to it, like that's it needs to come back, you need to resolve it. I think the only time me and my boyfriend have literally not talked about an argument that we've had, which it was probably the worst argument me and him ever had. I mean, it was really bad. I will not get into the details of it.
Mhm.
Um, let's just say I just never saw a side of him like that before, nor has he
Right.
ever showed me a side of that. And then when we came back to it, which this was like in between us kind of getting back together, this would have been like 4 or 5 years ago now. Um, he literally said, I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it. He hated himself for the way he acted with me,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is why he cannot talk about that day. So we just don't talk about it. We have the understanding of he will never talk to me like that again, but we just never was talked about what happened that day or over that weekend. Um, that's the only time we've had those situations of I cannot talk about this. And I think it's just more of an embarrassment thing than you're just incapable of doing it.
Right.
Because we can have arguments and come back to it and resolve it. We have had that. It was just that one thing. He was really nasty and he knew it and he just could not, like, nope, I'm not talking about it. And I'm like, okay, you won't
Mhm.
talk about it. So I think that's okay too. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Um, so number 10, and we'll end it here.
Mhm.
Seeks constant validation. So, according to Dr. DeVore, emotionally immature individuals may seek constant validation from others and rely heavily on the approval of others, or become upset if they don't receive praise. This could be due to low self esteem and an underdevelopment sense of self. Let me tell you right now, I don't give a f. Yeah, I don't need your validation. I don't need your acceptance. I am
Mhm.
fine how I am. And I think again, like, even that can be like constantly expecting, I love you, I love you, I love you. Like, buddy,
Mhm.
I'm like constantly getting that too. That's a part about constant validation. And it's like, I don't
Mhm.
need that. I know you love me. Like every so often I'll be like, I love you and whatever. Like, I don't need that constant validation.
Mhm.
Um, because like that makes me sick to my stomach to constantly be like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And that's kind of how it was with me and my ex too. But I'm just like, that's exhausting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, saying that after is it saying that after an argument or saying that,
Not even so much after an argument. I think it's um, just kind of like in just normal conversation, kind of being like, I love you, or I love you too, or like whatever. Like, I think that's kind of basically all it is, where it's like you
yeah, you don't
constantly have to do that.
you know.
It is
Yeah.
exhausting. No, thank you.
Mhm.
I've done it, but again, as a person in her early 20s, not
Yeah.
a person in her early 30s. I
Yeah.
do not constantly tell my boyfriend I love him. He does not
Mhm.
constantly tell me he loves me. I know he does, though. He knows I love him, and
Mhm.
that's it. And then we'll be like, every so often, I love you, or whatever. And, you know, and
Mm.
even like, now, I'm gonna say this, we don't have to hash it out or anything, but I do think, though, there is a
Mhm.
difference between a man or anyone saying when you say, "I love you," and he says, "Love you,"
Mhm.
there is a difference, y'all. There's a difference. You c
Mhm.
If you're so lazy, you cannot add the "I" to the "love you," go to hell.
Yeah,
There is a
I
difference.
mean, maybe,
No, there's a difference.
yeah, we do say that.
There is
I
a
do say
difference.
that. So
There is a
I do
difference.
say that.
That's
It's
a
just
pet peeve of
like
mine.
I
It's a
do
pet
say
peeve
it
of
to
mine.
like, well, when I like my with my mom, that's a different story. But
Mhm.
when I
With a
say it to
partner. I want to stress that
people,
with a partner.
yeah, my relationship. If I okay, yeah, my partner, yeah, my a girlfriend, yes, I have said that a couple times. I said I love you.
Mhm.
But people who just not sure about that, you're getting to like, and then it's just
Don't
between you
say I
two.
love you then. Don't say it back.
This I don't say it. I try to explain to them I'm not there yet, blah blah
Mhm.
blah, all that stuff, etc. But I do say love you. I do say that.
No,
I
it
do
wouldn't
say
work
that.
for me.
Just
No.
yeah, yeah, I do say
No.
that. Not with my relationships, but I do say
No,
that
yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
times.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. In relationships, it's more so what I'm saying.
Mm.
Like my ex would say, like if I said I love him, he would be like, he would say, love you too. And I would be like, excuse me?
Is that a
No.
common? Isn't it? Is that a common norm? Love you
I
too when you
don't
leave.
know. I don't know, and I don't care. You're gonna say that I love you, and that's what I would say to him.
Mhm.
Like, no, it's I love you too. Like, what are you talking about? So then he
I
would
mean,
do the love you too as a joke because he knew it
yeah,
bugged me,
uh-huh.
and then he would like laugh. So yeah, he would as a joke say love you too, but then he would say no,
Mhm.
I love you too, and then because he knew it would bother me. But I
So
find with my boyfriend when I will say it to him if he says "love you too," it doesn't trigger me as much. I'll admit. It's more when I say it and then he doesn't say it back, that triggers me. I'm like,
that's the one. That's the
"Excuse
one
me,
that is like, yeah,
I'm
that's the one that is
speaking to
like
you."
sometimes I won't be able to hear it or whatever, but
Yeah,
like
and that had happened to him too.
it,
Sometimes he doesn't hear me say it, um, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." Yeah, it's if I say I love you and you don't say it back, and if he walks away, like when he's leaving and he walks away, he doesn't kiss me goodbye, that also bugs me, and he knows that.
um,
And I would like, "Excuse me, I think you're forgetting something." And then he will literally turn around and be like, "Oh," like a kid's like, "Oh," that's kind of like what he does. He's and then those are the two things that kind of
mm,
trigger me more
mm,
so
mm,
than the schematics of not saying "I" before "I love you,"
right,
but
right,
whatever.
right. Mm, mm. Well, it happens. It happens to a lot of us. So
Too much.
the eye is a heavy lifting. So like the
Oh,
eye
whatever.
is
Whatever.
doing a lot of heavy lifting. But
Alright. Well, let's head to the last topic,
yeah,
which is these driving laws that are coming into effect as of July 1st. Um, so big changes
it
are coming
it has nothing to
to
do with the four. Is it the 407?
I
No.
don't know, let's just see what we have here.
Yeah, 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 whatever.
Um so big changes are coming in the way the Canadians drive. Um, so the federal government has introduced the new Canada Driving Law 2025, which is a
Uh-huh.
national set of rules aimed at making roads safer, vehicles
Uh-huh.
smarter, and penalties tougher. Whether you're a daily
Good.
commuter or an occasional driver, these updates will likely affect you. So, from mandatory safety tech to new speed limits in school zones, here's a complete breakdown of what's changing and how you can prepare. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
speed in the school zones. So, the previous regulation for that is province based, time limited. So, that depends on each province. Here in Ontario, that used to
Mm.
be 40 kilometers an hour. Now, as effective as July 1st, 30 kilometers an hour, 24/7 nationwide.
Mm. Is that
So
it?
even when school's out for
I don't
summer,
know. I don't know if that's a problem, but
it's
is that
slower.
a problem for you?
It's slower. It's slower. Like,
Can you go slower than that, or is you're so used to going that
look how I
it's gonna
speed.
take some time.
Look how I speed. Do you forget? It's been a minute since you've been in the car with me. I'm a speeder. So I'm already going above 40 kilometers an hour, okay?
Well, yeah,
I'm being
there's probably a
honest.
lot of you that do that too. So
Yeah.
they're probably used to the probably the old. What was the average speed back like 10 years ago or 20 years ago? Was it
For
like
school
50?
zones,
Yeah,
before it was no, it's 40,
it wasn't
especially in
40.
residential areas, it's 40.
Okay,
So
40. But
now though, so like for
mhm,
example, those residential areas usually are 40 kilometers an hour. If
Uh-huh.
you are near a school, it goes to 30. So
Okay.
like my old elementary school in that area is going to be 30 kilometers when it's right now 40 kilometers.
So it never changed before, like before the 40. Like it was stuck on 40 before, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Like even like by our old school, for example, by Notre Dame.
Mhm.
I should probably take that part. You know, it doesn't matter. We're not even there anymore. We go to Notre Dame. It used to be 50 down in
Yeah.
that section. They
Yeah.
recently changed it to 40 because it's technically a school zone. So now I'm
Right.
wondering, okay, so am I supposed to be driving 30 kilometers an hour down Harwood Avenue? Like, I mean, it's technically not a residential area. So I don't know.
Mm,
Guess we'll
mm,
find that out.
mm.
Um, Distracted driving fine, which is a good one.
Yeah.
So before that was,
See, the thing is, when I'm a walker, don't get me wrong.
mhm,
When I cross the like when people are turning from the light, like turning, some of these drivers don't look both sides. They just
no,
look one side on where the like the opening was coming. Like
yeah.
when the I
Even
just
as
don't
a
understand.
driver, seeing someone turning right, it's like, you didn't even, I can see you. I know you didn't look properly both
Yeah,
ways.
look both ways. They're just
Hmm.
looking at the where like where the opening and where the turn.
Yeah,
You're gonna kill somebody by doing that. You're gonna injure somebody, and then they're gonna sue you, and then you're gonna be like, oh, well, I didn't do anything. I'm like, yeah, you did. Like
but you did. Yeah.
it happens to me a lot, so much. I had to let them point at the walking light. I point at them like, look at the walking light, please. Like, it's such a nerve wracking. So many drivers that do that. Like,
Yeah.
go ahead, go
Um,
ahead.
so the current fine for this ranges from $250 to $400. So as of July 1st, that is going to be starting at $600 or higher for repeat offenders.
Good, good. Because like, I bet it's been
And
happening.
distracted drivers doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean because they're not looking
yeah,
at whether or
yeah,
not a
yeah. Like
pedestrian's crossing.
phones,
That's more about the phone usage,
phones,
which I
yeah,
see
and
that too.
like,
It drives me nuts because,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not a
Those type of
texter while I'm driving. I might text if I'm stuck at a stop, like a red
mhm,
light,
mhm.
maybe. But other than that, like, I don't text usually when I'm driving.
Mhm.
Um, so that bugs me when I see people who are doing that, especially when it's affecting your driving.
And yeah, and also like,
Yeah.
I don't mind the people who have like the wireless ones, like the ones that have the the phone like
But
plugged
it's more
in.
about texting, I think, more
Yeah,
so than
texting.
talking
Yeah,
on the
when you have
phone.
like one hand and the other and the
Yeah.
one hand on the wheel. Those are the drivers. The ones
I
that
mean, I
have the
do that
wireless
sometimes
ones.
though if I'm talking
Yeah.
on the phone
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't put it to my ear. I always put the person on speaker when I'm driving so
yeah,
that at
yeah.
least I can
I mean,
hold the phone, but I can still have kind of both hands available if I need to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
So impaired driving limit. Currently, that is at 0.08 blood alcohol level, but that is being reduced to 0.05 BAC.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
all you people
that's
who
good.
like to drink and drive can't do
Yeah,
that. Or at
I just
least
don't
like,
understand. I don't understand those types of people either. Don't you watch the news?
I mean, I
Like,
have definitely had a drink or two and driven, but usually I'm pretty careful. Like if I'm going to drink at like a work function,
yeah.
I will kind of keep it to earlier in the work function so that I can at least like have that come out of
Mhm.
my system by the time I'm
Yeah.
driving, like say 5, 6 hours later. Um, but
Yeah, yeah, but
that's like one thing, and I'm still within legal limit. I'm sure I'm within legal limit still.
mhm, mhm.
Um, but now it's like, can I even do that? I might have to like drink one drink in the way beginning of the of work function, and then I can drive because like that's low. It's pretty low.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
it's like one drink for most people.
mhm.
Um, so
They,
pedestrian
they, they,
zones.
they're trying to tell you not to drink and drive.
Basically, they're
That's
not saying
basically.
0, saying 0, no, I'll drink at
Yeah.
all. I'm just saying, like, you can have one drink.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, a 0.08 can be like 2 drinks,
Yeah.
depending on
Yeah.
your weight, obviously, and
Yeah.
height and all that.
Yeah.
Um, so pedestrian zones, that's controlled locally. So that's
Mhm,
municipal, I'm assuming.
mhm.
Now Pedestrian zones is going to be federally regulated.
In what way?
Doesn't say right now. Maybe I'm not sure if this article gets into. Oh, it does. It does. So we'll get into it.
Mhm.
When we go further down. And then it says ADAS in new vehicles. So I think that's like the emergency brake. That's optional in most models. That's going to
Mhm.
become mandatory for all new cars. Um, so the ADAS requirement that basically from July 2025 onward, all new vehicles sold in Canada must include ADAS. So it's Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. Oh, I'm wrong. So it's like having the camera on your vehicle to like look behind you kind of thing. These systems include lane keeping assist,
Oh,
adaptive
yeah, my
cruise
brother has that,
control, and
yeah.
automatic emergency braking. This change brings Canadian safety standards in line with Europe and parts of the US. To
Mhm.
ease the transition, the government may offer incentives to retrofit certain ADAS features into older cars, although these will apply only to some vehicles and systems.
It's
Speed
just
talked about the speed limits. We don't
older
need that.
cars, I wonder how the older cars are gonna re
I don't know. My car doesn't have
gonna
that. So my
is
car is a
that a must?
2009. So
Is that a must to have, or is it
they're saying it's going to be a must for most well, all new vehicles. And then they're going to see if there's a way to retrofit that into older vehicles.
so
Yeah.
the vehicles in the 80s, 90s, that's a
They're
definite
not
no.
going to be able to. No, I imagine
No.
that's not going to work.
Like 2000s, maybe?
Maybe,
Maybe 2000s,
maybe.
2000s, yeah.
Yeah. So the distracted driving, we'll just kind of talk about that a little bit. So penalties for distracted driving are going up. The minimum fine is now 600. Repeat offenders may face license suspensions or larger fines. But it's not just about texting. The definition of distraction now includes smartphones, smartwatches, smart glasses, and any other device that diverts attention from the road.
Smart glasses, really?
Hmm.
Really? That's distraction? Yeah, you're
Apparently.
still looking at the road and you're talking to
I don't know.
no,
If you're wearing
you're
or
not
using any tech that can interfere with your focus, you could get pulled over. So, lower BAC limit.
mm,
Canada's legal blood alcohol content for drivers will drop from 0.08 to 0.05. This move brings Canada in line with several European countries and reflects modern research on impaired driving. The nationwide standard removes provincial variations and reinforces a clear message: don't drink and drive even a little.
yeah.
Pedestrian zones. Busy foot traffic areas like downtown cores or shopping streets will now be regulated federally. These zones will feature consistent signage, federal enforcement, and unified safety rules. This
Mhm,
change aims to reduce the pedestrian injuries and improve walkability in urban spaces.
mm,
Um, so there's more here. So commercial drivers and ELDs. Commercial drivers must now use GPS-based electronic logging devices to track hours of service. These help prevent driver fatigue, ensure compliance with work or rest rules, and enable enforcement with digital records.
mhm,
Noncompliance can lead to fines, penalties, and retraining requirements.
mm,
Um, speed cameras. AI-powered speed cameras are coming to roads across Canada. These new systems can adjust enforcement by time of day, adapt to traffic conditions, reduce false speeding tickets. They aim to
mhm,
catch excessive speeders without relying entirely on human patrol. So, how to prepare? So, with the law going live on July 1st, it's time to check your driving habits and vehicle readiness. So, here's how: review the new speed and BAC rules, make sure your vehicle meets ADAS requirements if buying a new one, avoid using all smart devices while driving, stay informed through official sources. Take advantage of public awareness campaigns starting May 2025. So that's already been in effect. Um, Canada's driving laws are entering a new era. These changes will make roads safer, rules clearer, and enforcement smarter. Whether you're behind the wheel every day or once a week, understanding and adapting to these updates is the key to safer roads for everyone. So
mhm,
that's
mm.
that.
Yeah, the drinking one the pure driving is they probably just want you to not drink at all. And
Yeah, I think that's a
I've been
good one.
having problems because even if it's just like, point, 0.05 or whatever, it's going to lead to more drinking in the near future. So like
Mhm.
that's probably one of the reasons why they just brought it down a little lower, right? So like, and it's probably a problem still, which shouldn't be a problem because I don't get me wrong, not just you. I'm just saying this. It should never happen when a person gets really drunk and
Mhm.
on the wheel. Never. And you guys should be educated about this. Watch the news.
Yeah, people don't
Call a
care though in
friend.
those moments.
Yeah, I
People just don't
don't
care.
understand that.
Yeah, I know.
Call a friend, call a taxi, we have Uber now. Uber, you know? Um, or just, well, it's even dangerous walking home because somebody will probably be like, but
You can still
use those,
get hit by a drunk driver too when you're
that too.
walking.
That's why I said it's dangerous is walking.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, use those three options, like, don't drink and drive because you might just kill somebody or injure somebody by doing that. So like, or get in trouble by the police are doing that as well. So like, I just don't understand those people that just don't give a shit about other people in general. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay. So this ends episode 111 of the Next Tape Podcast. And Next Tape Podcast is available now on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called Tanika.
Next week podcast.poppage.io.
And where else are we at?
Facebook and Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod.
And you can contact us on our email at mikeltanika@gmail.com. That is mikeltanika@gmail.com. So we just basically talked about like three topics on this episode. Great conversations. What are the three topics we talk about, Tanika?
We talked about how metformin works in the body. We talked about emotionally immature men or
Hmm.
people. And we talked about the new driving laws coming into effect
Hmm.
as of July 1st.
Okay. All right. That's it
That's
for
it.
us. I'm Mikel, and
And I'm Tanyka.
we're out until
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Peace, guys.
Bye.